just like that, I find myself in Woodrow Wilson Park.
Hello, Woodrow Wilson.
Wilson, the 28th President of the United States.
The President of the United States.
Significantly important to the Poles, for it was he that during a speech in 1917 gave hope to the Poles that they would become an independent nation finally. And as the USA entered the First World War in 1917, and obviously the First World War was finally ended in 1918, the same year that Poland eventually found Polish independence. And a lot of Poles put the Polish independence movement down to the fact that it was endorsed by an American president. Here, what do we have here? This is certainly not Woodrow Wilson. Let's see if I can climb through this for our bedroom. Look at this masterpiece. This is Perseus holding a Medusa's head, and he's freeing Andromeda from the sea serpent, half man, half serpent, using Medusa's head, effectively turning the sea serpent into stone. Andromeda not looking at Medusa's head. Perseus freeing Andromeda, who's here, the naked lady right here. Beautiful, beautiful statue. I really like that.
Perseus, good man.
If you notice the fountain, it almost has the same shape as what Poznan was, the forts protecting Poznan, and in the center, I think this is deliberate, would have been the center of Poznan, and then obviously Fort 7, for example, would have been here on the edge. I think that's what that signifies, and here we have an old Soviet outdoor theatre.
Why, this is the very room for a theatre.
Beautiful waterfall in the park. I'm trying to find the statue of Woodrow Wilson. I believe it might be down here, but we keep searching. But this is a beautiful park. Very nice. It actually reminds me of the parks in Oslo. This is what it's conjuring in my memory. Parks in Oslo in the summer. But very beautiful.
If you're interested in Oslo, I do have an old video on Oslo where I visited it during the winter. Do be sure to check that one out. And also do check out my old back catalogue. There's over 500 videos there now. Click that subscribe button and you won't miss a thing.
I see a statue there in the distance. I think that's where we're going to head. And here we have the great man, Mr. Woodrow Wilson. Died in 1924, was the 28th President of the United States. And obviously in 1917 he gave his speech which gave the Poles that little bit of an extra push to become independent as soon as the First World War ended. And in terms of ending it and helping gain their independence, Wilson is now celebrated here on the 4th of July every single year. Poles, no connection to the USA, will come down here and sort of raise a toast to American independence and a toast to Woodrow Wilson. I find myself back in the centre, very, very long walk from where I was, but it's a hot day. Less hot than when I was here last time, but I'm now going to try to get myself to the castle, so that's the plan. It's almost like a miniature version of Battersea Power Station. There's a mall inside this. We won't be going inside there, but it looks like a beautiful mall.
Why have you changed your mind?
I have to say I got curious. I'm not a fan of malls, but just from the outside this place looked quite magnificent. We don't have time for a mall. To be honest, I take it back, this place is huge. This is probably a bigger version than Battersea Mall, and it's actually far better, far more beautiful. I don't know if you recall, but this street was being repaired when I was last here. Now it seems to have been repaired. Now, if you remember this from my video, you probably don't, but this was all under construction. Every single patch of this road, it was just a building site. Everything impossible to get to. I think there was a mall or some sort of thing just around the corner, which I had to step over just to get to. Where are we here? Oh, yes, we're basically close to Hampton Hotel. Guy with a cycle. This is looking a lot better. This was literally all under construction 11, 12 months ago, and now it's finally back to normality, and I can actually notice the statue over here, whoever this is. I'll be honest, I didn't even notice this street last time I was here because of the way it was all under construction. This street was almost blocked. It looks like a major shopping street. I'm attempting to get to the castle, which is this way. Wow. See, that I find fascinating. I was in Amsterdam about 4 or 5 days ago. Yes, I failed to make a video in Amsterdam. But in Amsterdam, you can obviously go to the coffee shops, you can buy haze, you can buy reefers. But here, you can buy them in vending machines, and it has THC and CBD.
I am not endorsing it.
And this is where sadness creeps over me. The main square being this way is not complete. I was hoping everything would be back in order. But as you can see, it's a bit of a disaster. It's still not finished. These things take time, I guess.
Fortunately, to do it properly takes time.
Now, just to get some perspective, you recall from my main video, that building over there with the green roof is the Pacha Nightclub. No, actually the one just in front of it is the Pacha Nightclub. And this is where the construction of the road begins. And now here we find ourselves on the main square, Stary Rynek. And this is where we had that dodgy club that was trying to, according to the reviews, basically a clip joint, extravagance, the clip joint. And here we have Neptune. If you remember, not much has changed. The only difference is we've actually got some improvement here. We've got some improvement with the pavement, but it is still effectively a building site 11 months later, possibly 12 when I was last here. And when it rains, this can be quite muddy. So let's have a look. Let's see if anything has changed. Can we get close to the center? Because before, we couldn't get up to the top.
If you're wondering about before, this video is a continuation of my previous trip to Poznan, just in case you haven't watched that trip. But also it's continuation from a video from earlier in the morning.
Can we get into the museum? I failed. The museum is closed in the center. It would have been open until 4 o'clock. I failed, guys. Although Monday is Saturday, it's last admission 4:15, and the time is 10 to 5, so I failed on that one. It turns out I also failed when it comes to the castle. It turns out I should have got there before 4 o'clock. I'm hoping that my flight is at a reasonable time, and I will be able to go tomorrow. That's the plan anyway, so let's see. But as you can see, they've done some nice stonemasonry. It clearly takes time. I mean, time is an understatement. 11 months ago I was last here.
Having done a little bit of communication with the officials in Poznan online, they tell me that this is all going to be ready and completed by the summer of 2024. Now, I thought that was going to be the case in 2023 when I was first here in 2022. I'm assured that this is almost ready and it will be set for anyone visiting in 2024. So my advice is book those flights to Poznan and you will be pleasantly surprised.
Even most of the side streets are still under construction. You can see how far back it goes under construction, although I previously couldn't get to the middle over here, so let's see if I can. I mean, you've got to feel sorry for these restaurants that are attempting to survive despite the construction. I mean, it potentially could have been well over a year that they've been impacted. And that is a dead end. So the attempt to walk through, I don't know if that says Legends Cocktail Bar or Legdies. I'm unsure, has it survived? I'm even under the impression that maybe the Pacha nightclub that we noticed last time, that may have closed. According to Google, it's open on a Thursday, and today is a Thursday, so we'll find out. Is it open? The windows looked dusty when I walked past earlier. I mean, this must be terrible for business. People obviously want to be around a square, but not when there's this huge construction going on. I mean, when it is going to be done, it will look good, but when is that? This was not done when I was last here. My hope last time was to be able to get closer to this or actually go in. Last time I couldn't even get past the fence, which is here. Now we can see this beautiful statue and we can get closer to this, what is this beautiful building. But it does look closed also. According to this sign, it says the town hall is going to be closed until December 2023. Maybe we're thinking of planning a holiday here in 2024. I know I sound like a broken record. I said 2023 it would be open, but clearly not. Every corner of this square impacted. All of the side streets going off to every single corner, still not complete. Small progress, but other than being able to see a little bit more clearly, it's still not a lot of progress.
This isn't the first time this square has effectively been lots of rubble. In the Second World War, this square was almost completely destroyed, a little bit like most Polish cities. But what I love is they've meticulously restored all of the surrounding buildings of the square, and now what they're doing is restoring the square itself. So really restoring this 13th century square to its former glory.
You can see some of these businesses gone out of business, and I'm pretty sure since this is the construction of the square, maybe some of these were working when I was last here, I don't remember. But it's certainly not working now. It's been that detrimental to the businesses. Come and get yourself a business on the square, but you're going to be impacted by, but at least the Cherry Bar is still open. That's a great little place. Just a random Egyptian walking down the street. I think I'd say this building's seen better days. There's a random bar up the top here that I think is still functioning. See if it looks appealing to have a beer after a long day. This place, closed for the moment. I think it's open because I saw it open last night. Oh well, back to the drawing board. Pacha, as you can see, the windows look very dusty. I will know tonight if it's fully open. From the impression I'm getting from the dust, it looks like it went the way of closure during COVID maybe.
Despite the fact needing a dusting, it turns out this place is actually opened. I did confirm that this was open later in the evening. I just didn't have my camera with me. And it is Poznan's most commercial and biggest club. It has a capacity of about 1,000 people, and it's possibly worth your time depending on which DJ is playing between Thursdays and Saturdays.
I tell you, at least some improvement. If you remember, this is where all the construction began. Every single bit of this has been upgraded. We've got all these new stone masonry work, beautiful benches, beautiful gardens. It actually looks really nice. The sign that they're still working on something is the fact that this bit hasn't been finished and they've still got the diggers behind us. But it's a real improvement on what it was. The construction began from effectively here, and you can see this has all been done in the last 11, 12 months. They have done it really nicely. I wish they did the same in London. London's a mess. It's run by an idiot. and our leaders don't seem to care. But at least here they're doing it slowly, methodically, and they're doing it well. And with that, we find ourselves back at the hotel, and that's where I'm going to go and have a cold beer. Well, as evening sets in, I discover this chap called Pavel Edmund Strzelecki. He was an explorer. He's well regarded in the fact that he just sort of mapped them out. He was a mineralogist, he was a geologist, he was a biologist, and yet he'd never been to university. But the thing is, he was accepted into the London Society of Scientists. Not exactly the name on that, I read it many boards back. But this is the fascinating map that this chap from Poznan had taken. And at the end of the day, I admire travelers like this because there's someone after my own heart. Just like you guys, wanting to explore the world, I am also the same as this Pavel Edmund Strzelecki. Keep exploring, keep progressing, and today, just like the rest of it, I'm going to go exploring. There he is, there's our man. Going to go explore Poznan nightlife. Let's see what we find. Morning, so it's a new day and I've decided to get up early, well reasonably early, and today I'm flying back to London. Unfortunately, it's a beautiful day, super hot day. I'm gonna go check in on this 13th century royal castle because it's long overdue. I've been wanting to see this castle for a while, so join me as I take in Poznan's royal castle.
I generally don't kiss and tell, so apologies for the lack of nightlife footage there. Poznan's nightlife does pale in comparison to Berlin, which is only 2 hours away on the train, but for a day or two, you can't really go wrong by taking in the craft places and the music venues. I do recommend it.
Well, talk about extra keen. It's not open yet, but hopefully it'll be open any minute now. No one else is here. It's kind of quite a theme when I'm walking around Poznan. But that will probably change, I think. I think people are going to flock to Poznan at some stage. So origins date back to the 1249, and it hosted many, many kings, especially King Jagiello, such as the wedding of King Kazimierz Wielki, Casimir the Great. After the damage suffered in the 18th century, the castle was partly rebuilt in 1783 by the general Staros Kazimierz Radziwiłłki, excuse me brutalizing these names, it's not intentional. And then sadly, due to World War II, the castle burnt down in 1945 during the fighting for Poznan. But as you can see, it's still here because it was reconstructed between 1959 and 1963. And wow, what a reconstruction. Just hopefully we can get in. Well, I made it into the castle. They opened just after 10. I now get to explore this incredibly new castle, in fairness. I think here we see the 13th century castle tower base down here, right down there. Don't stand on it, it says. But strangely, I think it was meant for standing upon, otherwise what would be the point of it otherwise? Maybe a slight failure in design. So we'll take the lift, I believe, up to the top. Actually, how many castles do you know that have lifts? This is a real difference between, I guess, the top. Look, here we have a map of Poznan and the Poznan fortress. Remember when we were in Fortress 7, which would have been far out in the distance to the west. This is the original center of Poznan with the fortress going around the edge. There's the town hall, which we can see over here, I think. It's a little bit better up here. We can actually get fresh air up here.
The royal castle in Poznan has, throughout the centuries, been the residence for successive kings, and prior to it burning down, it was expanded and updated by various rulers, reflecting the architectural styles of the different eras. The castle that would have been on these grounds played host to some significant events, including royal weddings, diplomatic engagements, but despite its prominence, the castle experienced a period of decline in the early 18th century, suffering from multiple sacks by foreign powers and eventually being repurposed into the state archives by the governor in 1783. Obviously, I mentioned earlier that the fortunes of this place declined during the siege of 1945, when the whole place was caught in the crossfire between the Nazi forces and the Allied powers, and it led to significant damage, effectively burning down. In the post-war period, specifically between 1959 and 1964, efforts were made to rebuild parts of the castle, including Raznicki's archive. The more comprehensive reconstruction which we see today was only initiated in 2010. So if you haven't visited Poznan in recent years, you may not have seen this magnificent building. It obviously aimed to restore the castle to its former glory. Today the castle is home to the Museum of Applied Art, offering exhibits on its history and architecture, allowing visitors to explore its reconstructed parts and obviously to enjoy the views of the old town, which we are doing here.
Certainly one of the more impressive views up here, but it just feels like a very much more of a modern house. You can see the CCTV here, there's modern slating, but at the same time, an impressive view. Over here, the modern side of the city, this is where you would go to get the train or head to the airport in that direction.
This is the Museum of Applied Arts in the Royal Castle. It has a broad spectrum of art spanning from the Middle Ages to the contemporary era. The museum's permanent exhibition occupies nearly 1,500 square meters and features around 2,000 pieces, including furniture, ceramics, glass, metal, weapons, jewelry, fabrics, costumes, and accessories. The collection, as you can see, is arranged in a modern manner, with each room organised to reflect the ideological, aesthetic and artistic climate of its respective epoch. The key highlights of the collection include porcelain spanning the last 3 centuries, furniture which is approximately 1,400 objects created from the Middle Ages to the present, mainly European, glass which has over 900 pieces including mirrors, stained glass, hand-painted pictures on glass, and various vessels from European factories dating from the Middle Ages to contemporary times. Goldsmithing, jewelry and metalwork, this department encompasses a wide range of antiques, including jewelry, furnishing, home decor, clocks, horse gear, weapons, and religious items from various faiths produced in the Middle and Middle East from the 12th century onwards. And last but not least, the textiles, decorative fabrics which include fashion accessories. It is a pretty comprehensive museum, but not everything is always on display. I like to think that I'm highlighting some of it in this brief snippet in the video.
Well, that floor is closed, which is the top floor, so I think it's just basically this one and the one we've just seen. And then lower down, notice there's a Barbie exhibition. So, it makes visiting a castle all the worthwhile. A Barbie exhibition.
Hiya, Bobby.
Hi, Ken.
You want to go for a ride?
Sure, Ken.
Jump in.
The sadness. My ticket doesn't get me into the Barbie exhibition. I wish I'd known that. Tragic. How am I going to live with myself not seeing a Barbie exhibition? I don't know about you, but I've always been a little bit freaked out, not in a positive way, about the whole Barbie thing. I always thought it was weird when you see these, well, people playing with Barbies. Very strange.
Want to come over for dinner? Are you sick?
Why do you ask?
Well, that was it. It was 20 Polish zloty to get inside the castle. Wasn't much to see. 20 Polish zlotys are just under $5. If you're a student, you can get in for 1 zloty. Other than maybe some pretty grounds here, with some random artwork giving me a view of the square under construction, which you can get into this part for free anyway. I was more excited about it than entailed. Anyway, This has been my little catch up on Poznan. Hopefully I will be back. If I've missed anything in this video and the last video, be sure to let me know and I'll make sure that I cover it in the next video. So hopefully I will see you in the next video. And if not, you can watch one of my older videos. One of these or one of these. Until next time, keep progressing.